I think it's very difficult in the current sort of environment of looking at game changers to look beyond Apple as the paradigm example of game changing. Coming from virtual dereliction maybe 25 years ago to being absolutely the company that everybody looks for in terms of changing the game in their industry. But what they did is actually very, very simple. They focused on what the customer truly desired, but they focused on something that other companies weren't focusing on. In Apple's case, it's design. And they've used that principle, the principle of design, but also good quality technology, very, very innovative marketing, good distribution, the same things as many other companies do, and they've used that to really build a game-changing position in consumer electronics. I think you can look across other industries. Apple is probably the most prominent example today. For many years, companies like Southwest Airlines in the United States, Ryanair in Europe in the airline industry have been identified as examples of game-changing organizations. I think we could add to that now China Southern Airlines, an airline I recently flew on. Fantastic experience providing world-class travel between international cities and China. However, there's some very interesting things also happening in the agri-business and food world. Bolthouse Farms have got this fantastic idea of selling baby carrots as snack food, and their slogan is "Baby carrots, eat them like junk food." It's a fantastic way to change the game, to get young people and older people to eat more fruit and vegetables, improve their health, improve their life, and to change the game in food and agribusiness. Food Hub is another organisation which I think also has the potential to significantly change the game. Many local restaurants and supermarkets want to source food from the local area. The difficulty is that when you go and try and find a local supplier for fresh produce, it's very difficult. If you Google them, you find thousands of entries from all parts of the world. What Food Hub does is it allows local producers and local buyers in food service and in retail to come together in a single online site to source local produce from each other. A real game-changing innovation in food and agribusiness. I've spent more time in the developing world this year than I ever have before, and some very, very exciting things happening there, it seems to me. The most significant thing that strikes me about firms in the developing world is the investment that they make in creating their industry and creating their market. In a sense, firms in the developed world, by and large, the markets that they operate in already exist. If you're operating in Pakistan, you have got to create the idea of safe and healthy food. If you're operating in China, you have to create the idea of customer service. So this idea of developing the industry and developing the market is a very prominent feature. And I think that firms in the developed world could learn something from that, reinvesting in their industry to create new conditions. The other interesting thing about firms in the developing world is because of higher interest rates and higher inflation, difficulty of accessing capital, they seem to maximize financial flexibility above all else. So it's a need to keep borrowings as low as possible to maximize their cash flow. And what that means is that when an opportunity comes along, they tend to be able to act more quickly to take advantage of that. And I think that's a real lesson for us as the global ability to raise capital becomes more and more constricted. I think also in the developing world there appears to be a lot more opportunities, but firms appear to have more clarity about what it is that they want to achieve and which opportunities they want to tackle. And I think that it's the access to capital and the investments they've made in industry that sort of work together to provide that clarity. I think the final most striking thing that I've seen across the developing world in Asia, in Africa, and if you like in Middle Asia, has been the need to develop your own management team. By and large in the developing world, unlike in the developed world, there are few if any MBA programs. There tends not to be a cadre of professional managers in society. So what each of these firms have had to do is to select and educate their own management teams. And I think it's created enormous strength and a lot of innovation, both in how you educate, in how you hire, how you remunerate, and how you manage your management team. So there's real lessons there for people to learn. There's little doubt in my mind that we're in a current maybe 10 or 20 year period of, I won't say unprecedented change because global society has had big change like this before, but the impact of globalization, the emergence of new economies, the impact of technology, the emergence of the second global consumer class as the Asian and South American consumers start to become more like the middle class, wealthy consumers of the West. This is a time of absolutely unprecedented change. And with change, as we know, always comes fantastic opportunities. And I think those opportunities particularly arise in the agribusiness and food industry, because in those industries, what people will spend their money on first as they move into this new consumer class will be on food. When you have got a lot of opportunities, you've really got to have two things. One is the ability to select those ideas that you're going to focus on really, really well. And entrepreneurial firms, which is pretty much most firms who are going to survive into the future, the difficulty is not what ideas, but the difficulty is which ideas. And what the really intelligent firms do in times like this is they experiment with ideas in a small kind of way. So you don't have to pick one idea and bet the whole bank on that. You pick 4 or 5 of the maybe 100 ideas that are available to you, and you experiment with them and see which is going to fit most perfectly with your business. Whether you should be at the leading edge or whether you should be a fast second, today really depends, I think, on a decision that the leader of the organization or the entrepreneur, his or herself, has to make. There's a well-known professor at Harvard Business School called Noah Wasserman, and Noah teaches a course in entrepreneurship, and one of his key statements in the course is to ask an entrepreneur, do they want to be rich or do they want to be king? To be rich means, it's pretty straightforward. Do you want to make a whole bunch of money out of this idea? But to be king means something different. To be king means, do you want to change the world? Do you want the world to be a different place? And that might mean that you cure malaria, or you educate children in the developing world, or you create a new technology. But this idea of rich or king, I think, is a decision to make in terms you want to be first or where do you want to be second. What we know, by and large, is that the first person into the market, usually the inventor, rarely is the person who makes money. They do change the world, but they are rarely the one who makes money. It's the people who come fast second, or even a slow second, who tend to have captured the learning of the first into the market, have identified how to make money from that opportunity, and those are the ones who tend to be rich. So for me, the key decision is, do you want to be rich or do you want to be king?